Before we start, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm an independent researcher of all the mysteries and all of the unknown and unheard on this planet. We all enjoy watching movies about bank robbery master plans. Audiences usually root for the hero, but in these cases the bad guy is just too compelling. Well, there are even real robberies that seem to be a work of fiction of the greatest Hollywood studios. But guess what? They are not. Stay tuned for the shocking details. Like scenes from a blockbuster movie, Untitled Chapter robbed banks during his lunch breaks and returned to the scene as the lead investigating officer. He grew up under the law and was the son of Major General Franz Thunder, who was highly respected in the South African prison service. He enrolled at the South African Police Training College near Pretoria in 1963, graduating at the top of his class. Available records state that one fine morning in 1977, he handed out assignments to his squad and headed to the airport in Johannesburg during lunch break. He flew to Durban, put on a false wig and beard, walked into a bank and pulled a gun on the cashier, but very discreetly handed her a bag and asked her to fill it up with cash. She did as she was asked. Andre did not threaten anyone else in the bank, nor did he brag about having a gun. No one else realized what had happened. He quietly walked out, drove back to the airport, and flew to Johannesburg post-lunch, and carried on with policing. Untitled Chapter made around 100,000 rands between 1977 and 1980, before he was arrested in January 1980 after robbing a bank in Durban. Previously, under the influence of alcohol, he asked a colleague from the South African Bureau of National Security to assist him. That was the end of the first phase of his robbing career. He was found guilty of 15 counts of robbery and sentenced to 75 years in prison. However, while in prison, Untitled Chapter became friends with inmates who were also bank robbers. Alan Hale and Patrick McCall. The trio planned their escape from prison, and it worked. All three, the three bank robbers went straight back into business and robbed more than 20 banks in a space of 2 months, carrying away over 500,000 rands in cash. They came to be known as the Chapter Gang, and they became so famous, and it was the fame, money, and girls that led to their downfall. Soon, their pictures made it to every newspaper, and this made them leave South Africa. One of the prostitutes, who had spent a night with them in the past, recognized their pictures in the papers and informed the police. Chapter was caught one night while returning to his hideout on a bicycle. During a struggle, he tried to reach for the policeman's pistol and was shot. He bled to death before the ambulance arrived. 50 years ago, someone managed to steal 300 million yen without firing a shot. Was it, as some say, the perfect crime? In 1968, a young man posing as a police officer waved down a car carrying 294 million yen. he drove away with the loot and his identity remains unknown. Adjusted for the Japanese inflation, the sum would be worth almost $10 million in 2020. The young motorcyclist told the 4 bank employees in the car that criminals had blown up the home of their branch manager and dynamite had been planted in the car they were driving. The alarmed bank staff stepped out of the car as the police officer crawled beneath the vehicle in search of the bomb. Smoke and flames suddenly belched from beneath the vehicle, and the patrolman emerged, shouting that it was about to explode. As the bank staff fled, the thief calmly stepped into the car and drove away. The bank employees later told investigators they had accepted the motorcyclist's story because the manager had received threatening letters, while the smoke and flames were caused by a flare dropped beneath the car. The investigation would involve 170,000 police officers, with a total cost totaling 900 million yen. That's 3 times the amount of money that was stolen. In December 1975, the statute of limitations in the case passed without an arrest, meaning the thief would now be able to identify himself without fear of prosecution. No one has come forward. Speculation about his identity continues to this day. In Heist that seems ripped from a Hollywood movie, thieves in Argentina tunneled into a bank on New Year's Eve 2010, looting some 140 safe deposit boxes from the vault. The thieves are thought to have spent 6 months digging a 30-meter, 100 feet tunnel complete with lights, ventilation, even carpeting. At least 3 thieves snuck through the tunnel on New Year's Eve, while the bank was closed, and spent the weekend collecting their loot. Bank security cameras reportedly recorded images of the suspects leaving with money and other stolen property. Alarms went off several times overnight, but police saw the doors of the bank were shut and took no further action. It was a really impressive job, said the prosecutor Martin Nicholson. And now just like and subscribe, and maybe share your thoughts, to get an access to all of the actual knowledge of this world.